What is going on, y'all? Thank y'all so much for joining me tonight. My name is Chris, and this is Ending the Stigma, where I sit down with real people and have real conversations about real stuff, whether it's addiction or whether it's justice involved, trafficking survivors, anything in that vein. I love to have these conversations. I love to hear the stories, for one thing, because there's nothing more powerful than a story. But also, if we can have these conversations and end the stigma around whatever it is we're talking about, we can open people's eyes, then that's what I love to do. So anyway, my guest tonight, this is the first time I've ever talked to her in person. We've chatted a little bit over text. We met again through Ben Owen. She's an admin on the Monster Fighters group, and I'm a moderator. And that's kind of where I first saw her name. And so I reached out to her one day and asked her, what her story was. And she said that she did have an addiction, but it wasn't the normal kind of addiction. It was a food addiction. And that kind of piqued my interest because you hear about it, but I've never actually had a conversation with someone that had a food addiction. And she also said that I'm going to let her tell it, but just what little bit she told me, I was intrigued. So we set it up and so anyway, I'm going to bring out Monica Nichelson right now. And according to Ben, she is a straight running badass. He told me that not 10 minutes ago.
Oh man, what an intro. That's awesome.
Yeah, he was texting me right beforehand about something else.
And next time I revise my resume, I'm going to put straight, what was it? Straight
running badass. Yes.
Straight running badass. That's what I'm going to put as my first bullet point on my resume. That sounds like
actually, I think what he said is you're an effing badass. But same thing, whatever.
Nice. Awesome.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for hanging out with me tonight. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm honored to be here. Thank you.
And y'all, if y'all are here, drop a comment so I know you're here. If you don't drop a comment, I don't know you're here. All I see is a little eye saying how many people are watching. So y'all drop a comment and let me know you're here, whatever platform you're on, whether it's Facebook, LinkedIn, or YouTube. All right, cool. Monica, like I said, thanks for being here. You're a veteran.
Yes.
You're also an admin, I guess, on the Veteran Trash Talk group, which is like, I'm not even a vet, but I laugh my ass off in that group because they post so much funny really stuff. Fun. Yeah.
And we don't discriminate against civilians at all.
Right. or against other branches of the military because the amount of crap talking that goes back and forth.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm an Army vet and we do a lot of trash talking, but the mission of Vet Trash Talk is really just to support veterans and people who are in their families and friends and family get through PTSD, and we provide a network of resources for vets and civilians to support their vets, whether you have PTSD from combat or MST, which is military sexual trauma, which unfortunately is prevalent.
I know two people well, one of them I know actually in person. She's a friend of mine. The other one I've just been friends with online forever that have gone through that.
Yeah, it's a lot. So, but anyway, log in vettrashtalk.com.
Yeah. Well, cool. So let's just jump right into it. Just start wherever you want to start, like I said backstage, and then take us wherever you want to take us.
Okay, cool. It's interesting. I don't know if this applies to every veteran out there, but almost every vet that I am friends with had some kind of trauma in their childhood. I certainly did. I grew up, in a, single parent household, and my mother, I lived with her, and she was doing drugs and had lots of people coming and going all the time in the house. And it's kind of amazing. I don't know if it's fate or God or whatever, but I just was so repelled by that whole environment that I never went that way. So even when I had friends, getting high or doing drugs or whatever, I was just like, ugh. Just bad memories.
In the hundreds of people that I've interviewed now, that seems to be the case. They either, well, I mean, it's either yes or no on the drugs always, but I mean, it's either they're either so appalled by it and they don't want any part of that for their life, or they just follow in the footsteps.
Right, right. Yeah, it's weird. Who knows when the concept begins? But,
Yeah.
it's I'm older. I'm pushing 60. I'll be 60 in February, which is kind of blowing my mind. But uh,
Really?
yeah,
You don't look
I with
60.
it. I know I don't. I wear it pretty well. Maybe it's the no
Yeah.
judgment. Who knows?
Yeah,
Um,
probably so.
I don't drink. I don't smoke. I don't do drugs. I just have fun.
Yeah.
You know. But it's the reason I brought that up is because when I was like 5 years old, and I still remember this, like she told it to me yesterday. She goes, Monica, don't ever touch the brown bottle in the freezer because snakes will come out of the toilet. And I was so freaked out by that. It was a bottle of acid. I was so freaked out
Mhm.
by that I didn't even open the freezer like to get a popsicle or anything. I was just like,
Yeah.
ooh, and I, had this vision of giant anacondas coming out of the toilet. And I was like, there's no way in hell I'm doing drugs. That happens.
Right.
Excuse my language, but fuck
Oh,
that
you're
shit.
good. Right.
Anyway,
When you
so,
said brown bottle, I was thinking like a brown bottle of like liquor. But
oh,
yeah, if you
yeah.
took the acid, you would probably
No,
see
I found
snakes
out later
coming
it
out of
was
the
acid.
toilet.
Yeah, little
Yeah.
brown tabs. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, anyway, kind of a rough childhood, and I didn't know at the time why I joined the military, but I think I know now. It's because I was yearning for that camaraderie and that order, um, that structure in life that
Right.
I didn't have growing up. And it's like you instantly have a family and camaraderie and a mission and amazing training. You get to travel the world. I sound like a poster now, but
You sound like the recruiter.
yeah, exactly, exactly. I mean, it does have a lot of amazing stuff, and there are
Sure.
incredible benefits and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, it really does mess you up as well. So,
Yeah.
um, um, I did 4 years in the Army. I was in the Signal Corps. I was a radio teletype operator. And then I also got into cryptologic linguist stuff, which is
Okay.
basically encoding and decoding messages in a top secret comm center.
Oh wow.
And like, I loved it. I felt like a spy or something because I was like
Right.
out in the field
It's
intercepting foreign language messages and
yeah, it
deciphering
sounds
them.
like some 3 letter shit going on.
Exactly, exactly. So, I loved my job. I did really well. Oh, thank you, Stormy. I didn't know I was
Hey
going to see
Stormy.
messages there.
Yeah, you can see all the comments that come through.
Yeah, cool. It just popped up.
Yeah.
Um, I loved my job. I got to see a lot, do a lot. At the end of Desert Storm, I'm not a combat vet, but I was involved in Desert Storm stuff. Um, at the end of Desert Storm, they sent everybody to different places, and I was sent to South Korea and stationed in the middle of nowhere on the top of a mountain, which is where they used to put the Signal Corps. Because this is before, now dating myself again here, before cell phones, satellites, internet,
Yeah.
any of that
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah. I
That's
was
where I
I
was
was young, I
literally,
was very young during Desert Storm, but I remember it, and I
yeah.
remember no cell phones, no nothing.
Yeah, and my all of our equipment looked pretty antiquated. Actually, the first time my son saw a picture of me in uniform at work, like in front of all this comm stuff in front of me, he's like, "Did you serve during World War II, Mom?" And I'm like, "Shut up! Oh my God, shut up, you punk."
Damn
So,
kids.
yeah, I excelled when I was in. To backtrack a little bit, I at AIT Advanced Individual Training. It's where you learn your job, and I graduated first in my entire battalion, which I didn't realize at the time was a big deal. Now people are like, "You did? You have this commendation from the general so and so?" And I was like, "Yeah, yeah." I stood up on stage and shook his hand. I didn't know what was going on, so apparently that was a real big deal. But so I came in first, and that means academically and physically, and like every part, every facet of what you do in the military.
Yeah.
So I was really excited when I got to South Korea and was able to, put my skills to use. And things kind of went downhill pretty quickly. I got an NCO, non-commissioned officer, who was in charge of me, who didn't want me to be in the job that I had trained for. He wanted me to just be his little lackey and errand girl and answer the phone and, I don't know, glorified receptionist or something. So I was just kind of really upset because I wasn't able to do the work that I had trained so hard to do.
Right.
Um,
Right.
and so that was kind of, you know, a kick in the pants. And he
Yeah.
was he was really not a nice person. And I'm not talking about, like drill sergeants will bark at you all day long and they're like sharks.
Right.
You know that that's their role, and it's a game, and you just deal with it. I mean, it's like
Right.
whatever. But when you get into active duty and people are just treating you like shit, it's very demoralizing. And
Yeah. I
you
bet.
it's an environment in which you cannot complain about anything without getting in trouble. It's not like
Yeah.
there's HR, and it's not like when you go home at night, things are different because you live in the barracks. Like you
Hmm.
live, eat, sleep, work with these people. Like you can't
Right.
get from it, especially overseas, because you can't. And in a country where it's non-English speaking, there's like no support around. Anyway,
I
so
mean, and you were in the middle of nowhere anyway. Like,
yeah,
what were you going to go do, even if you could?
exactly, exactly. I mean, I did go, wander around a bunch out there, but it was really beautiful. It was the city. Well, I don't even know if it's called a city, but it's called Wonju, Wonju. And they have a university there. But when I was there, it was pretty much just farming and those beautiful, I don't know if you remember seeing like terraced farming. Like they have these hills and they carve these terraces into them and then plant vegetables
Okay.
and and stuff. So it's actually really pretty. It was really
I bet.
beautiful there. Um, and the Korean people there were really nice. It was country folk,
Yeah.
farmers. Um, Something weird that happened to me when I was there was the women and girls, and mind you, this is before the internet, so they weren't exposed to a lot of stuff. I'm also
Hmm.
5'10" and really pale, and the people in Wonju are darker, like tan. They look more Polynesian there, and
Okay.
well, not Polynesian by features, but just darker skin. And
Right.
typically, like the average Korean man is shorter than I am, so I kind of stuck out like a sore thumb. Um, the weird part that I had to get used to, and finally I realized it was all innocent, but women and girls came up and touched me a lot. And at first I was kind of freaked out by it because I'm like, why are these people
Right.
touching me? I mean, they weren't being weird. They weren't trying to do anything to me. But I found
Right.
out later, I actually talked to a waitress one time in a tiny place, and she said, because you look different, they want to see if you feel different. And I was like,
Interesting.
wow, that's like so childlike and innocent. And
Yeah.
so as soon as she told me that, I was like, oh, yeah, little girl, you can touch me all you want. I feel the same as you, you know. So
Yeah. Yeah.
that was
I
interesting.
like that.
Yeah. Um about a year after I was in South Korea, typically it's a 1 year assignment, but I got renewed for another year because my replacement went AWOL. I always wondered what happened to that guy. But they were like, well, we'll keep you for another year. I'm like, you SOB, where did you go?
Right.
So um, that year was tough, just a little tough to think, oh my gosh, okay. I was ready to go off to another base, and here I am again. But a lot of my friends left because, like I said, it's a 1 year assignment, and so I kind of lost my buddies, my closest buddies who were there, and felt kind of like a fish out of water. Um, my I was married at the time, and my ex husband was stationed there, and he left also. So I just really felt alone, and weird. I got new chain of command, everything. So I just kind of went a little introverted at that point because I didn't know anybody, and um, I had something happen to me that altered the course of my life and my military career. I was assaulted. I am uh, by 4 men, and it was horrific. It was it was really really bad, and
Mm,
messed up my physical health and my mental health, and um, because they outranked me, um, when I dared to complain about what happened to me, I actually wound up being treated like the villain in the situation because they literally told me, "How dare you attempt to ruin the career of these stellar soldiers?" Um, so yeah, that was a real
mm,
kick in the teeth after, and I felt like the aftermath of what happened was more damaging to me psychologically than the actual physical attack, because all of these people that I was trained to respect and revere and obey, who I was told by everything I read and did in the military, they were there to support and defend me as well. Uh,
mm.
uh, that didn't happen, and yeah, I was ostracized, and I got demoted because I um, didn't follow my commander's orders to shut up about it, and um, finally, close to the end of that year, I was sent back to the States and had actually a really awesome command at that place. Again, I'm older, so the base doesn't exist anymore. I was stationed at the Presidio, which is so beautiful in San Francisco. You've probably seen it in movies, or even The Presidio. It's a movie, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
It's actually a cool movie if you like spy stuff, murder and spy.
I love it.
Yeah. So I didn't get any help. They sent me to a psychologist who in turn told my commander everything that happened, and I was just horrified by that as well. It was just one thing after another that was just there was such a lack of support, and it was so abusive emotionally and professionally to me that I just went into a ball.
Yeah.
Um, so I got back to the States, and I was only in was my final year, so I finished out, and hadn't seen my then husband in quite some time, and um, finally, actually after like 3 years of marriage, or 2.5, I think, we was the first time we ever lived together, which is kind of crazy when civilians think.
Wow.
Yeah, that was kind of crazy. I mean, honestly, we found out real quick living together that we don't like each other very much. So, hence the ex husband. But
Yeah.
um, I do have a really awesome kid from that relationship. So, that
Awesome.
is a good
Nice.
thing. I mean, he's
Yeah.
32, but he's always my kid. So,
Yeah.
yeah. People laugh when they see me when I'm mad at him because I mean, I'm tall, 5'10", but he's 6'6". So I'll yell at him like this, like, "You better get your shit together." You know, and they laugh. They're like, "Look at that." He's like, "Okay, mom." You know. um,
Uh,
but when I got out, I came back home. Los Angeles is home to me for me. Um, um, and I started school. I used my GI Bill to go to college, which was awesome. First to junior
yeah.
college, and then UCLA. Graduated in
Nice.
'99 with a bachelor's degree and didn't have to pay a penny because of my service, which was amazing.
Nice.
So yeah, um, but I just started eating and eating and eating, and I was not in therapy at that time. I was kind of repelled by the idea. of seeing a therapist, because when I was a kid, my mother or my dad or my stepmom would be like, "Oh, well, Monica is problematic. Send her to the shrink." Instead of thinking, "Oh, maybe this family is problematic, or maybe the fact that mom has acid in the fridge is problematic. Let's send the
Right.
kid because she's acting out." You know, and I wasn't a bad kid, but any tiny little infraction, they were like, "Oh, send her here, send her there."
Yeah.
So I had a really a bad taste in my mouth with therapists. So I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. Um, but I just discovered that eating made me feel better. And I could eat anything I wanted, and it was plentiful and legal. And I could sit at home and eat a gallon of ice cream for dinner, and no one could tell me not to. And I mean, I always fed my kid healthy meals. And as soon as he went to sleep, I would just go at it. And it was always in private. I've talked to some other people with eating disorders, and they say, yeah, usually people do it in private. Like they'll sit and eat in their car, or they'll do it when no one's around. I mean, similar to drug
Hmm.
use, you want to hide it from people who aren't involved. Um, but it became really bad for me. Like I was eating in bed, I was eating all the time. And I think now trying to fulfill something in me that was empty, but it certainly wasn't, food wasn't the answer. Yeah.
Right.
I wasn't exercising. My sleep was all weird. And I was a single mom then from when he was at the age of 2, and going to school and raising this kid, and just, living with a toddler, and just eating myself to death. And I would say I overate, and I was obese for probably like 15 years or something, or
Wow.
20 years. I don't know how long it was, because God, I always gauge things by the age of my son. I think he was like 5 when I started really going overboard with it. And then I finally stopped doing all of that in 2020 when COVID hit. And I actually had gotten up to, I don't know if maybe I can show you. I had gotten up to 270 pounds
Dang.
and at 5'10". I mean, I can hide more weight than most people
Right.
shorter,
Right.
because I had shorter friends who looked fatter than I did, but I was pretty darn big. And I'm trying to pull up a picture of myself, because I mean, you can't see me from. This was on a trip to Japan.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can see that, but that was
Yeah.
270 pounds.
Yeah.
And like when I see that, I'm like, wow, I don't even remember being that big. I mean, the funny thing is, I know some people who have, or I know a little bit about body dysmorphic disease, or something, like where thin people think they're fat. I was the opposite. I thought I was still gorgeous, and like I can't believe I was that big, because like I was like, oh, I'm fine, I'm fine.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that was me just I don't know, self-preservation or what. But anyway, I don't need to grab any more pictures. Um when and I have to say I was miserable. I stayed
Yeah.
away from men and relationships because I just was of the frame of mind that they're all going to hurt me.
Hmm.
Um, you know, not just reacting to having been assaulted, but um, like my ex-husband pulled some stunts and left abruptly, and I was just like, oh, yeah, nobody is gonna be good to me or protect me. So I had a lot of male friends, but I just stayed away from men for a really long time.
Yeah.
Um, and uh, yeah, so anyway, skip forward to, um, and I was, working and successful in my career and stuff, but home stuff was meh, you know. I think I'm an awesome mom to my kid, but I wasn't so good to me, you know.
Right.
So COVID hit and we're stuck at home. And I was sent home by my job. Everybody was sent home. We're working online. It was the first time all this Zoom stuff started,
Hmm.
and all that good stuff. The funny thing is, like everybody was talking about baking bread or doing new recipes and all this stuff, and everybody's getting fat at home because they weren't going outside and they're trying out new stuff and new hobbies. Um, I just something hit me at that time, and I was at home, and I thought, oh my god, I don't want to live the rest of my life like this. I
Hmm.
just don't. I need to make some changes. I need to be healthy. I want to be here for my kid when I'm old, you know?
Yeah.
Um, if I have grandkids, I want to meet them,
Right.
And my doctor at the VA said, Monica, you're lucky that you don't have any of these comorbidities, which is what like I didn't have diabetes, I didn't have high cholesterol, I didn't have any of the obesity diseases that will kill you.
Right.
But
Right.
she said, you're right on the cusp. Like, if you don't change something now, you're going to die of one of these diseases. And I just was like, oh my God, I have. I have an aunt who is a severe diabetic and she has to stop every time her beeper goes off to, drink a Coke and she has to do injections every day. And she's got all
Hmm.
these bruises on her belly from the injections and she's out of shape and miserable. And I just thought, oh my God, I don't want to be like that. I don't want to live
Right.
like that. I want to be healthy.
Right.
And um, I started having really horrible stomach aches at first. And I complained to my doctor, but at that time they were only bringing people in for emergencies, when COVID
Hmm.
was real big and there weren't vaccinations and all that still. And they're like, no, if it's not an emergency, we're not going to bring you in. Here, eat some Tums or we'll send you, XYZ prescription or whatever. Anyway, it just got worse and worse. And finally, I complained enough. She's like, okay, well, we'll test you for COVID, we'll bring you in, and we'll do an upper GI scope, see what's happening in your stomach. And they did all that, and they discovered that I had some kind of what was it called? L. pylori. It's a bacteria. L.
Hmm.
pylori, Pylo. I'm not sure how it's spelled. I can't remember. But apparently, it's a bacteria that lives in your body naturally. But I had like this big outcropping of it, and it was eating my stomach wall. And so they said, "Oh wow, we need to send you to surgery." Um, and so they had to go in and remove the necrotic part of my stomach. Um,
Mm.
remove the dead flesh and sew it back up. And they sent me home. And they
So you had the lap band without even wanting the lap band,
exactly,
basically.
exactly.
Yeah.
They didn't do the full shebang. Like they didn't make it as
Right.
small as they do when you're doing like they call it the gastric sleeve. Um,
Yeah. That's what
yeah,
I was thinking.
yeah.
Yeah. Gastric sleeve.
So,
Yeah.
but they cut about a third of my stomach out, and I've been told that they leave you about a third or a quarter of your stomach if you have the other, like the obesity surgery. But so it wasn't as drastic. But the recovery was the same as if I had had something like that. So what they have you do is it's kind of like when you have a baby, you have to like eat one food group at a time to make sure that your stomach can handle it and your
Hmm.
system can handle it and stuff. And so first they have you on liquids and then they have you on thicker liquids and then pureed foods and like having a
Right.
baby. I don't know if you have
Right.
kids, but you have to
I
build them.
don't, but my ex-wife, it was before we got
Uh,
married, but she had had the gastric sleeve and she had told me all
oh,
about
okay.
that.
Oh, so you know
So
that. So I had to
yeah,
go through that whole um,
same
process.
steps.
Yeah, all the
Yeah.
steps there. And, immediately started losing weight because the calorie count was drastically lower.
Right.
Um, but and then I started walking at night because they were like, it was kind of weird. Like where we live, they were actually like patrolling the streets to make sure people weren't outside, um, during the pandemic, but they weren't really
Right.
coming out at night. And I would walk with my son at late at night, like 11 or 12 o'clock at midnight or something. We'd go walking. And like I said, he's 6'6", so he's like my nighttime bodyguard. So we'd go walking and walking, and I really got into feeling good about walking and moving my body and stuff. And the pounds just started coming off. And I got really excited and happy about that. And
Yeah.
then my doctor said, "Okay, we want to hook you up with the psychologist." And I was like, "No, I don't want to do that." And they
Right.
said, "Well, we are actually going to make you do this." Because a lot of people who have big lifestyle changes like this immediately kind of go through a depression, and like missing food or missing what they used to do, or hurting themselves by trying to eat too much and then hurting your stomach.
Yeah.
But a lot of people, even who are doing that for weight loss, don't realize how much of a psychological change you go through, um, because you don't have that crutch anymore. And
Right.
I have a friend who did the lap band like way like 10, 15 years before I got sick. And she went through a massive depression because she told me that she didn't realize that she had such an emotional attachment to
Mm.
food, and it felt like she had like a breakup, like she
Yeah.
had lost a partner.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, it is weird to kind of longingly look at food. And food isn't, hi Henry. Food isn't something that you can go cold turkey on. I wasn't on drugs or alcohol. I couldn't just quit it. So it's a really difficult dance when you have to eat, but you can't abuse it the way you used to.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people don't really understand that, addiction is addiction. And there's a lot more overt support for people who are in doing drugs and alcohol.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I feel like there's more, right, correct me if I'm wrong, because I know you are a different kind of an addict, but it's like more shameful to be fat than to tell people that you have a drinking problem. Like, I mean, society treats fat people like outsiders,
Right.
but
And
a
drinking
lot
is so socially acceptable.
Right. Drinking and even some partying, like depending on where you are,
Yes.
it's like the
Yeah.
norm.
Yeah.
It's the norm. And they're like, yeah, yeah, everybody's fine, and it's cool. And if you have a problem, we have all these programs for you and whatnot. But, you know, fat people just become invisible,
Hmm.
and like people just don't want to talk to you. It's kind of weird also, like when I started dropping the pounds, people that I knew or people I didn't know reacted to me differently than they did when I was fat. So it's really interesting and weird. Hey, Bry. Brian is one of my army brothers. I love you,
Oh,
Bry.
nice. What's up,
Yeah,
dude?
yeah, he's awesome. He lives in Georgia. He's like a master carpenter. He's making beautiful cabinets. Anyway, sorry, I digress.
Nice. No, you're good. Glad you
um,
dropped in, man.
so yeah, so I just started this health journey with my son. He was a little bit overweight himself, and like 30 years younger than I am, but we just started walking and talking, and I got involved with veteran trash talk, and um, that really helped me tremendously. Because of the assault that I went through in the army, I stayed away from anything veteran, anything army. Like nobody I worked with or knew that I had even served, because I just didn't talk about it. And I just stayed away. And I had gone through um, I had gone through kind of like a breakup with a best friend. And we'd
Mm.
been best friends for 30 years. We served together, we went through a lot of stuff together, kids and marriages and divorces and all this stuff. Like, we're really close. And she abruptly ended our friendship right around that same time when I
Oh
had
wow.
the surgery, and like abruptly. And this was like my sister,
Yeah.
my confidant, my best friend. And even though it was not a romantic relationship, I had those same like horrible gut feelings like in your stomach when you're heartbreaking broken, and you
Yeah.
know how it affects you physically. It's just like, oh, I'm gonna throw up because she's gone. And
Jamie.
hey Jamie. um I was on Facebook one night and I happened upon Veteran Trash Talk. And I didn't know what it was, but I was like, oh, this is really funny. Like, people were posting funny stuff, and
Yeah.
and I saw some good camaraderie happen there, and I was like, oh, who are these people? This is kind of cool. So one night I posted about my breakup with my battle buddy, and feeling like really heartbroken, as if I had broken up with a romantic partner. Like, it felt
Yeah.
that way, even though we
I
weren't.
can imagine.
Yeah. So I posted about that, and I was like, what do I do? And I closed my computer and went to sleep. And then first thing in the morning, I'm like, oh no, why did I post about that? They're gonna talk shit about me. They're gonna harass me. They're gonna say I'm stupid or weak or whatever, or a girl, whatever. But when I woke up, there were like 80 or 90 comments. Not one of them was hostile or negative, and it was all supportive. I was like a cartoon when they're shocked, like, just like,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
Wow, like, these people are amazing. And one of the comments said, it sounds like both of you need to be in therapy. But it wasn't like, go get therapy, weirdo.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
was genuine. Like, it sounds like yeah, tyranny, you got it. um she just said, oh, girlfriend breakups hurt so bad. They
Yeah.
do. They really do. It was like gut wrenching. um so um I that was my entry into Vet Trash Talk, and I just was like, this is a really great group of people. And I befriended some people on there and was just on there all the time because it was really fun and funny and supportive. And it seemed to
Yeah.
me like they were blocking people from being. Now I'm an admin, and I'm actually COO of Vet Trash Talk. So what I
So
didn't.
is Vet Trash Talk a whole separate organization, and that's just a Facebook group?
It is, yeah.
Okay. Okay. Cool. I did not
So
know that.
yeah, and we have a weekly podcast. We are on all of the platforms and whatnot. And one night when I couldn't sleep, I added up all of the um, like the listeners and subscribers and all that. And we have 1.5 million followers throughout
Nice.
all of the yeah throughout all of the
All the platforms.
avenues. And I was just like, oh my god. I texted Nick in the middle of the night. I was like, do you know we have 1.5 people? And he's like, holy crap. I mean, it was just like, I went to all the platforms and started doing the math, and that's amazing. Facebook has closed our page down multiple times in the past, but right now we're on a 4-year run, and I'm really excited about that. And like, made some changes. Um I made the page private on Facebook,
Hmm.
and people have to agree to rules and regs and all that stuff. And some people some people complain about our rules and regs being too stringent, especially because it's mostly a vet community, and we are used to having really dark humor and bad language and messing with each other and getting arguing and whatnot. But we do not tolerate any politics, which is the biggest
Right.
one, because you cannot help each other if you start arguing about left and right or up and down or anything like that.
that
We
was
don't,
one thing Ben taught me very, very early
yeah.
on. Like
Mhm.
right whenever I first linked up with him and we started, you know, getting involved with We Fight Monsters, was that because I had posted some. It was like one or two little political things, and I was talking to him. I think it was our
Mhm.
first trip there last July, and he said, "Bro, you just can't do it."
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
said, you and I are on the same page politically." He said, "But you don't ever see me post anything political because one, I don't want to ever drive someone away that needs help because they
Right.
disagree with what I'm saying.
Right.
Two,
Right.
you're trying to make friends, not enemies. You don't want to
Exactly.
drive your donors like this whole reason why you just don't do it,
Right. Exactly. And
and it
yeah,
just
it's
never ends well. It never
no,
ends
it
well.
doesn't. And you'll lose friends, you'll lose followers, you'll maybe push somebody back into their demons, you know?
Yeah,
If you make friends with somebody online and you think they're great and then you find out, "Oh my god, they believe in XYZ and I don't." Screw that. I'm going to go drink or I'm going to go overeat or I'm going to, that
yeah.
stuff.
Or what if what if they were on the verge of reaching out for help, and then you post
Exactly.
something and they're like, "Oh my god."
Yeah, exactly. So the rules are pretty basic on Vet Trash Talk. It's kind of like the old joke about Thanksgiving: no politics, no sex, no religion, you know,
Right.
and no promotions. Like you're not here to sell stuff, things like that. So um, believe it or not, people are people, and
Yeah. Right.
even if they agree to the rules, they break them all the time. But we have a great group of admins on the page um, who field all of the, they're there to swat the flies. So um, I'm really proud that since we made it private and set up the rules and whatnot, 4 years now, Facebook hasn't shut us down because they had shut us down for something so innocuous the last time. It was a meme that literally just described the difference between Veterans Day, Memorial Day, things like that. And Facebook said it went against what is it they call community standards.
Yeah.
And we're like, what? All it was an explanation to people like, yeah, fly swatter present. Brian's one of my
Yeah. Yeah.
fly swatter deluxe. Yeah, exactly. So, yeah. So, I found this community that I felt like, okay, I belong here. Like these people are awesome. And being on my health journey, like I said, at the top of my food addiction, I got up to 270 pounds. I weigh 160 now. I'm 5'10", so like I'm thin.
That's pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you know women's sizes. I wear a size 10. So I'm like, I'm good. I don't have to shop at Lane Bryant anymore. Like, woo, I'm excited.
Right.
You know,
Right.
I
Yeah.
mean, I don't know if anybody listening has ever been overweight and not able to pick up like what they call normal sizes, but it's a humiliating process to go shopping and you don't fit into normal, you know, normal
Yeah.
sizes. So, oh
Yeah.
my God, I was so excited when I went into a regular, like a Gap or something, and tried something on and it fit. And I was like, oh, whoa, it fits. Yeah, I can pick up any size 10 and it fits.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
exactly.
many, so many options now.
I know, I know. Tyranny just asked, how did you lose the weight, girl? If you go back and
Yeah,
watch
she
the
she
replay,
just hopped on.
yeah, if you go back and watch the replay, I described the whole thing of getting
I'll,
sick.
I'll text me, Tierney, and I'll tell you about it if you don't have time to go back and watch. You got to go back and watch because the whole story's good. But if
Cool.
you don't, I'll text it to you.
Thanks. And Tyranny, what a name. Are you all
I know, right?
tyrannous? um,
That's one of my in real life friends. I knew her in real life before I knew
oh
her
nice,
on
nice.
Facebook. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. So then one day so I used to be a project manager and product development manager for Applebee's restaurants at their headquarters, which is here in California. And The president of Applebee's came to me one day and said, Monica, I know you're a vet. And I was like, how do you know? And he goes, we have HR. You registered that you're a vet. I know you're a vet and you're awesome. And I have this idea for an Applebee's commercial. I want to fill an entire Applebee's with veterans and have it be a promo for our free Veterans Day meal. And I was like, oh shit, I'm not involved in any vet groups. How the hell am I going to find these people? But I literally just Googled local vet organizations. And, but then I also asked my vet trash talk friends, I was like, hey, do you guys want to come be in this commercial? And we're all over the world, right? All over the country. But several of my vet trash talk buddies who I had only met online flew to California. And I was like, what? You guys are nuts. This guy named
That's
Kevin and
awesome.
this awesome woman named Lynn. Yeah, they flew out and we did the commercial and it was live during an NFL game and it was really, really fun. And we had a blast. We had like a 3-day weekend together. And I was like, oh man,
Nice.
I love these people even more than I ever did.
Yeah.
So also one of the people that showed up that day, because I had reached out to like VFW and American Legion and the VA and whatnot to get people there. I actually did fill the restaurant with vets and he was very happy. And it was a fun commercial. Um, I reached out to my like some local American Legion posts and I didn't even know what they were. Like I had no idea what the Legion was. Kind of knew what the VFW does, but I thought, oh, those just a bunch of old farts smoking cigarettes and drinking beer, crying in their beers,
Right.
stuff.
Right.
Well, this guy showed up from the post that I'm now involved in, the Hollywood post. Um, I live in Los Angeles. I live in Glendale, which is just north of downtown LA. It's a really nice area. No crazy shit going on here. Talk about that, but
Thank
there's
God.
nothing crazy happening here. Yeah. Uh, but he was insistent. He's like, you got to come check it out. You got just come see, come see. And then he's like, well, in 2 weeks we exchanged numbers. In a couple weeks, we're having this event at Bob's Big Boy. We're doing a fundraiser. Why don't you come? So I went and I had so much fun. It was a classic car show and I met like 30 people from that local Legion post and had a burger and had fun and they were all just really cool. So I wound up joining and this was, I don't know, in 2021 or something or 2022. I can't remember. No, yeah, 2021. Because I've been there for 4 years now. Anyway, I was kind of catapulted into leadership over there and became an executive team member. And then I was elected first vice commander. And then last month, and I'm kind of gulping at this because I'm like, oh man, what did I bite off here? I was elected commander of the Hollywood American Legion Post.
Wow.
And I swear in on the 16th. So
Congratulations.
yeah,
That's
thank
awesome.
you. I'm really honored. There don't in the 100 and something plus year history of the post, I will only be the third female commander. I'm also a
Nice.
member of the auxiliary, which is the like the ladies civilian ladies group. Um, so I'll be the only like dual member they call us
Yeah.
who will be commanders. So the auxiliary is going to throw me one hell of a party, which will be really
So
fun in October.
speak speaking of the American Legion,
Mhm.
up until I texted you last week and asked for a picture, I had never seen a picture of you because your Facebook profile pictures are always something
Oh, some
funny, right?
silly, like it's a
Yeah,
cartoon right
something
now. Yeah,
silly. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
And so I get it, and you're like, yeah, yeah, these are my American Legion headshots. I was like, cool, that's perfect.
Hmm.
Well, then I didn't remember anything being had posted, but then one of the posts from last week when he was up there or over there
Yeah,
showed back up in the feed, and I was like, he was with
yeah.
Monica last weekend.
Yes, he was. Isn't that funny? Yeah. I don't know. I mean, the whole thing came like, yeah. I don't even know if they told people they were coming out here, but I was really super excited to meet my internet friends in person.
I know,
It's
right?
fun,
And they're
and
amazing.
yeah, they are. I mean, they're rock stars. The Owen Army is doing God's work.
Yeah.
I don't know, I don't need to get into religion here either, but hey, if you believe in a God and God does good things on this planet, those people are vessels
Yeah.
for good.
They are definitely
They
his hands and feet.
they definitely are. They're doing the work. They're walking the talk. And they're
Mhm.
both amazing people, and they're really fun to be around too. They're just
They
really
are.
warm and open and humorous, and you know, a lot of us who've been through a lot of hard times and have grown through them and out of them, um, have a really big heart for helping other people
Yeah.
and kind of a wicked sense of humor too. So
Yeah.
it's fun
Right.
to hang out with like-minded people. Um, but at the American Legion, I've been able to help a lot of people.
So, what does the American Legion do? For my sake, because I have no clue,
Mhm.
and for anybody else that's
Yeah.
watching.
So the American Legion is the largest veterans service organization in the country. Um,
Okay.
the American Legion is the largest lobbying group in Congress. When we show up in Washington, the senators and Congress people kind of start getting nervous because we do not give up. And it is only because of the American Legion that veterans have the VA hospitals, that we have any kind of mental health care, that we have physical care, doctor care.
Mhm.
Um, it's only because of the American Legion that we have like vet homes, like they call them Cal Vet homes here, like for old folks or disabled vets to live in, because a lot of people don't have families taking care of them. It's
Right.
it's because of the American Legion that we have the GI Bill or the Montgomery Bill or the Education Bill, where depending on whenever you got it, it's got a different name. But
Mhm.
I served 4 years active and 4 in the reserves, and I used my GI Bill, and I went to school, and I was actually, because I actually got like grants and a scholarship, and the stipend that you get from the military. I was actually making more money than I needed to for tuition. So I didn't have to work full time when I was in college. And that was
Awesome.
amazing. That was
Yeah.
so awesome because I also had gone through a divorce and was raising a toddler by myself. So I got
Yeah.
to spend time with him. That was really cool. And that's all because of the Army. The the most recent action that the American Legion has that people might be more familiar with is the PACT Act. And I know there were a lot of celebrities who got full fledged behind it. Jon Stewart was one of them, who got, you know, up in their hair in Washington and was like, you need to support these veterans who served in Operation Enduring Freedom or OIF, everybody that was in Iraq, Afghanistan, and breathed the air that came out of, well, the smoke and disgust that came out of these burn pits. Um,
Mhm.
I think most people who weren't there don't understand. Um, yeah, there's no plumbing in the desert. Um, and every part of your refuse went into a hole. Like everybody's excrement went into a hole. Everybody's trash went into a hole. Every bit of metal or plastic or anything, and all those things are toxic, went into this hole, and then it was burned. And
Mm.
yeah, I mean, they literally called it shit duty. It was like, who's on shit duty tonight? You got to go light a
Yeah.
fire. And so many people, breathed all of this and have breathing problems that once they got out, they were told, "Oh, your lung issues are not service connected because that's not part of what you did in the military." Um, and it was because of the American Legion that now the PACT Act was enacted, and people are getting help for those ailments that
It's
happen
awesome.
overseas.
Yeah.
So I'm really proud to be part of the Legion and,
For sure.
part of this kind of history. And I've, got a lot of friendships there, and I've helped some friends of mine there deal with getting support for their own issues, mental health issues, or even, getting healthy physically like I did, which ran in tandem with getting mental health help.
Yeah.
Because you really can't do one without the other and sustain any kind of success. So that's where I am now. I don't know if you,
Awesome.
I feel like I've
I
been
love
talking
it.
nonstop.
No, you're good.
I really just, I'm a natural caretaker, and I really just want to help people get better.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and I
Well,
know.
when you've been through the hell that you've been through,
Mhm.
and that's the crazy thing. It doesn't matter whether it doesn't even have to be addiction related. It doesn't have to be, you know, violence related. You can go through any kind of hell, but when you come out the other side of it smelling like roses, or mostly like roses, um, mostly when you come out of the other side of it anyway,
Mhm.
and you kind of do want to go back and help people however you can,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
it just puts
Yeah.
something in you.
Hmm. Definitely. Definitely. Um, and I think, again, a lot of us who didn't grow up with a lot of adults helping us,
Mm-hmm.
um, it's you, like you said earlier, either go one way or the other.
Mm-hmm.
I want to help those people, you know, and the more people you talk to, the more you realize that, oh, everybody's kind of messed up a little bit, and we all
Right.
we all need help. I mean, you never know what people are going through. You really never
Mm-hmm.
do. And so, you know, even if we disagree, or you do talk to people who are have opposing views politically, sexually, religiously, just take a breath, take a
Yeah.
step back, because they're still people, and they're still valuable, and they're still, you know, they're supposed to be here like we are. So
Mm-hmm.
that's um why I said yes to you, and why I run kicking and screaming, saying, okay, I'll be commander of this Legion post,
Right.
or Nick made me one of the officers of Vet Trash Talk. I'm like, no, I don't want to do it, but I really enjoy helping people. So
Yeah.
that's why I'm here.
I love it. I absolutely love it. Well, Monica, thank you so much for joining us, man. Like, this was really, really cool. I'm always kind of worried when I've never had a conversation with
Uh-huh.
someone how it's going to go live.
Yeah,
But this hour has gone by like super quick. It was
I
so good.
know. I'm kind of embarrassed. I'm looking at the time. It has been an hour, but I'm like, oh my god, I just poured everything out. So
No, I love it. Those make for the best shows, man. Whenever I don't have to do a lot of pulling and digging,
mhm.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whenever you're comfortable enough to just tell it, those make for the
Mhm.
best ones.
Yeah, cool.
So
Well,
it's
thank
good.
you. Thank you. I'm honored
Yeah.
to be here, and thank everybody who's listening and making comments too.
Yeah.
And you can
Next
find me
week.
online.
No,
Sorry.
do what? Go ahead.
They can all find me online if you put my name somewhere.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, you're tagged in the deal. I'll hang on. Let me tag you real
Yeah, I
quick.
don't. You can tag me anywhere you want.
There she is. So I'm just gonna
Or
drop her
like,
name here, y'all.
I don't know if you can see my T-shirt. Veteran Trash Talk. Yay!
Veteran Trash Talk. Yeah, y'all look up what's the name of the group? Is it VTT or VTT
VTT.
official?
Yeah, VTT official is
Yeah,
the yeah
is the group.
is the
They
Facebook.
post some really hilarious memes. And it's not just the memes, people are posting other stuff in there too. But then there is a lot of trash talk, especially amongst the different service branches.
Yeah,
But
and we
it's
don't
fun. It's fun
discriminate.
to be a part of.
You can
No,
be a
you don't discriminate.
civilian. Yeah.
Yeah.
So as long as you can handle it.
All right. Y'all, next week I'll be back with Jennifer Vokey. I don't know, some of y'all probably remember she was a guest on May the 12th, so a month ago. Um, she's a trafficking survivor, and we just barely scratched the surface of her story. So she will be back to tell part 2 of it next Monday, and I'm really, really looking forward to that.
Awesome.
We got up to the point where she had just gotten out of trafficking, but but she said, man, I've done so much since then. Like I can't even fit it all in an hour. And I was like, well, then we'll just come back. We'll come back and when I have another opening and get it done.
Cool.
So yeah, Monica, thanks again. I appreciate it.
Thank you. I'm honored to be here. Thank you.
Yeah. What's up, Bubba? Dropping in at the last minute just as I'm getting off. That's one of Ben's right hand man right there.
Oh, John?
Yeah, John Cox. Yeah, that's Bubba right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, y'all. We'll see y'all next week. Thank you for hanging out with us. Thank you for all the commenting and all the support. I couldn't do it